I don't know if it's the grip itself, it just doesn't feel right in my hands.
Fair enough.
And closing the slide, it's not as easy as that.
Hello everyone and welcome back to AmmoMart.com. We're here at the Buffalo Trading Company in Findlay, Ohio to continue Kayla McNally's quest for gun ownership and to become an everyday carry person. The general manager of the store is Scott King, who I've known for years and is a wealth of knowledge in all things gun. I gave Kayla a little bit of homework to do, which was to come up with a list of potential guns that she would be interested in purchasing related to cost and any other information that she could dig up on the internet. There's a wealth of information out there, albeit some good and bad, but if you read the reviews and do a deep dive on the subject, I think you're going to come to the store with a better chance to make the best decision for you.
So yes, this is my first firearm.
Okay.
I'm looking to purchase something that eventually, it's going to be an everyday carry firearm.
Okay.
I want to take a concealed carry class, so I want to make sure it's something that I can easily conceal.
Okay, perfect.
And with homework and everything, I'm a list person and a spreadsheet person, so I went ahead and printed off a sheet for you.
That is a great first step. Very much appreciated. I'll take a look at the list, pull out some firearms that you wanted to look at, and we can kind of go through what will work on your end. Okay, yeah, Kayla, you did a great job. These are all phenomenal choices to start this narrowing down process. As you can see, all the firearms have chamber flags in them. Like Rodney stated previously, safety is a precaution even in a gun store. Mm-hmm. We always just ask that you keep the gun pointed in a safe direction, be aware of your surroundings, other customers, as well as employees behind the counter. You can dry fire these. Like I said, just keep them pointed in a safe direction. With modern firearms, it is absolutely okay. And yeah, we can start the process of narrowing down the guns that you came in for.
Okay, I do have a quick question. When I'm handling these firearms, am I allowed to do the mag release? Am I allowed to close the slide so I can see how easy that is for me to manipulate?
Yeah, of course, that is allowed. Myself as the salesperson here, I will hand you a firearm in a safe position. I will take and rack the slide back to take out the chamber flag and give it to you so that you can see it is unloaded. At that point in time, yes, you feel free to manipulate the firearm, rack the slide, use the magazine release, and just keep the gun pointed in a safe direction while doing so, and everything is good. When you go to give the firearm back to the employee, just follow kind of that same process where you're giving it back in a safe manner. We will reinsert the chamber flag and can go on to the next one.
Okay.
Importantly, you should run the controls.
Okay.
To make sure the slide is adequate, you can actually work all the controls.
Right.
Because believe it or not, lots of guns get purchased and the exact opposite is true.
Okay.
That they cannot, so absolutely. Okay?
Perfect. I was interested in a mid-sized, compact type of firearm, nothing full size, because I don't think I would be able to hide that very well if I was concealed carrying, but it doesn't mean that a full size wouldn't be a purchase later down in the road for a home defense weapon or something like that. I was also looking at 9mm as being my sole caliber weapon. I thought that would be good for self-defense and safety. If there's any type of safety features, that was extremely important to me.
Great. That is a great first step in narrowing down kind of the type of firearms that you wanted to look at. Size, weight, and feel of the firearm are going to go a long way. Personal preference is a big key. We can kind of go over some of the features that all of these have in them to see which one kind of fits your need. As a blanket statement, normally the smaller of a firearm that you get is usually a little harder to control. That's not always the case, but grip feel is going to be very important. Being a first firearm, it's something that you are going to want to spend the time and shoot often enough to feel comfortable. If you don't feel comfortable shooting the gun, you're never going to carry it.
Right.
So getting something that fits in your hand, you can handle the recoil of, is kind of a major one.
Okay.
Second of all, 9mm, I think it's a great choice. It's big enough as a self-defense. cartridge to do the things you want it to be capable of doing, but yet, as again, a new shooter, it's cheaper than other calibers out there, so it's not going to be as expensive to go out and train and shoot. And if you can definitely handle a 9mm and shoot it.
Which we did when you were on the range.
Right.
We did that very well.
Okay, perfect.
The difference in ammo cost can be pretty dramatic. Sometimes up to double.
Yes.
Between even a smaller caliber than 9mm, say 380. So by the time you get proficient, you've actually purchased a couple of other guns cost-wise in ammo cost alone.
Right.
So you have to pick something, which you did, that you can actually afford to train with.
Okay.
Critically important.
Well, perfect. Well, like I said, great job of narrowing this down. Is there one that you kind of wanted to look at first and get in your hands and feel the...
Well, maybe we should just start over here and just kind of go on down.
Okay.
That's okay.
That works out great. The first one that you came across was the Smith & Wesson Equalizer. A great gun, kind of takes the features in the Shield EZ and kind of mixes it with the Shield Plus in that it's a little higher capacity than the original Shield. So this one does come with 3 magazines, a 10, a 13, and a 15 round option to kind of get a little bit of a different feel. This one is one that does not have an external thumb safety, but does have the grip safety on it. So that would have to be compressed in order for it to fire.
Okay.
Also has optic ready capabilities, but overall just a very, very nice gun. We'll let you get it in your hands.
Perfect.
The 3 magazines are kind of important because they're expensive.
Right.
And typically they're small, medium, and large for various stages of concealed carry.
Okay.
So that's a good feature as well.
Yeah, I was looking at different firearms that had different capacity magazines just because I do have family that lives out of state. If I were to get a license and travel, I would want to make sure that I'm state compliant, that I'm using the appropriate magazine. Also, I'm not 100% sure how I do with iron sights, so I do like the fact that this is optic ready. That's one of the things that I did try to stress when I was making this list.
Oh, it's a great feature. A lot of firearms now have the capabilities of putting optics on them. The different magazines in that one, usually most people are going to find the larger magazines a little bit more comfortable in the hand, and when going out and shooting like at a range and practicing, you have the ability to make it a little larger feel, but also the capability of making it as small as possible when it comes time to carrying. And women have usually a little bit more difficult time getting a holster that feels comfortable to them. You'll usually end up with multiple different ways that you're going to carry. Again, very much a personal preference, and it's something that you'll kind of get the feel of how you would like to carry a gun. Okay.
The grip safety doesn't bother me as much.
Okay.
I know I've heard from a lot of people that they don't really care for grip safeties. For me, that I don't think would bother me at all. It actually would help, I think, with my grip to make sure I have an appropriate grip.
Yeah, it usually forces someone to make sure that they have the correct position. Making sure that their hand is all the way up in the beaver tail of the firearm will help with control of that gun.
And it wasn't too tough, the trigger pull. I mean, that seemed pretty crisp to me, I guess.
Yeah, with there's some different trigger profiles. Some are going to have straight triggers, some are going to have curved. There's no right or wrong way. It's going to be kind of that feel of what works on your end.
Okay.
And then weight of pull and length of pull. Most carry guns aren't designed to have the lightest triggers. It can be a benefit. Some people mostly shoot better with a lighter trigger. But you also want to make sure that you have complete control of that firearm and trigger control. Usually you will learn to be proficient and get that feel.
Okay, let's see what we have next.
So the next one was the CZ P-10 S, a subcompact gun. This one does not have the optic ready capabilities as the previous one we looked at. Okay. A little bit shorter of a grip, as well a little bit wider of a grip.
Okay.
fabulous quality company is CZ. Kayla, if you're not familiar.
Okay.
They're doing a very, very nice job. Based out of Kansas City now, in the United States.
I don't know if it's the grip itself, it just doesn't feel right in my hands.
Fair enough.
And closing the slide, it's not as easy as that.
No,
I don't know.
that one is a little bit easier. I will say
Okay.
it is usually more difficult to close the slide on an empty magazine. The
Is it?
follower is pushing up on the
If the magazine wasn't in there, would that be easier?
That is how it will feel.
Okay, yeah. Got it.
That is how it would feel with a loaded magazine, with that follower then be compressed and not pushing up on that slide.
Okay. I mean, it's not bad. I can reach the slide release fine with my thumb. I mean, that's not terrible. I think, like this one better than this.
Okay, that's perfect. That's narrowing down the list.
Okay.
If it's not comfortable, it probably never will be.
Okay.
You really cannot. If it's an immediate no, it will probably always be a no.
Okay.
The next one we had, this is actually a used firearm. We do sell new and used here. It does say on the tags as well as we indicate them with a different color. But it is probably something you want to know that this is a previously owned firearm. This is a Canik TP9 Elite Combat. Does come with a Vortex red dot on it. This has a lot of features. It has an extended mag well. It has an extended magazine release, more of a flat trigger, threaded barrel. So if you wanted to add a comp to it or a suppressor down the line, that is easier to do. Very nice gun, completely ambidextrous controls. It looked like you were right-handed, so that's probably not the biggest factor, but it does have them. But a little bit bigger of a firearm. So usually, like I said, you're going to get into that, how big is too big? And what works for one person might not be right for the next person.
Okay.
See your pin here?
Yes.
It lets you know on sight that the trigger is cocked or the gun is cocked.
Okay.
Once you drop the trigger, it'll go away.
Got it.
When the gun would normally cycle, it'll keep coming back. But you can kind of tell at a glance whether you won't be able to tell it's loaded, but you'll actually know if the trigger is active.
Okay.
It does have a loaded chamber indicator on it. It's kind of inconspicuous, but that right there.
Right there?
Yep,
Okay.
it does come up if there's one in the chamber.
I actually do like the trigger, but honestly, for a concealed carry weapon, it might just be too full size for me. Yeah, but the trigger's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because of the features, it's also got an elevated price point. You know, it's
Yeah, when you come in and look at guns, you know, a lot of these are kind of in the same range, but it is important to kind of stay within your budget. There's good firearms in a wide array of price ranges.
Okay.
And some of them, it's not always the case that you are getting more gun for the money, but it is something to kind of be aware of.
And I do understand that personal safety, this is an investment. I know it's going to cost some money. It still doesn't mean that I don't have a budget to consider. So far, I mean, I like the price point. I keep on leaning towards the Equalizer, but I'm very interested in the rest.
Yeah, definitely. So the next one is an HKV P-9.
Okay.
So a little bit more customizable in the grip. This does have interchangeable back straps as well as interchangeable side plates. You can kind of change the palm swell up a little bit and get it to fit your hand. It's a very contoured grip, whereas some of the other ones we've looked at previously have been kind of a more standard grip.
Okay.
This one in particular does come with night sights on it that are going to glow in the dark. A lot of these guns you want to look at, just because you're looking at in this case, an HKV P-9, they make those guns in an array of different options. So you can get guns with white dot sights or with night sights.
Okay.
One of the other kind of different features on that one is this one comes with a paddle for a magazine release instead of a button for a magazine release.
That's different. I don't know. It's difficult to reach with my thumb.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't know if that's something I would get used to, but I don't want it to compromise my grip at all. If for any reason I had to change mags, I would have to reach for it.
Yeah.
True Scott, at one point they made one with a button.
Yeah, you can get them with either option. So in this case, that one has the paddle, but yes, you can get it with the button magazine release. It's usually one of those things that you will get used to. It's not as common in the United States as it is in some European markets, but the more you will use it, the more you'll get comfortable with it. Also, some people find it a little bit easier. I can kind of show you here. Some people find it easier instead of trying to use it with their thumb.
Yes.
They will use it with their forefinger, the same, and you can push down on it. You usually have to adjust your grip a little bit to do that, but it is an option.
Right. I did notice that I like the trigger a little bit better with the Canik.
Oh yeah.
Then, yeah.
That's a common finding.
Okay.
Canik does have a phenomenal trigger, so very valid point.
And the price point there makes me want to say no.
Okay.
Fair enough. Money's money.
The next one, we're going to kind of transition to another kind of more of a compact gun. This is a Shadow System CR920.
Okay.
Optic ready, blackout sights. This one has an 11, or I apologize, a 10 and a 13 round magazine.
Okay.
It's going to be a little bit thinner of a feel.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is another gun that comes in a plethora of different options. You can get a lot of different sights, different stippling.
You see how it seems like your hands are a bit crowded?
Yeah.
So definitely a gun designed more for concealed carry
Okay.
than a range gun.
Right.
Which doesn't mean that it's not an adequate range gun.
Okay.
But it is definitely leaning more towards concealment. So
this is a tough.
It's light. Yep. So the downside is what you've just discovered.
Yeah.
Kayla, is that sometimes the springs are incredibly stiff to dampen the recoil.
Okay.
So the downside to that is when that's true, it makes the controls harder to use.
Right. I guess I was really interested in this particular firearm just because we have one that's a different model, Shadow Systems, for a home defense weapon. So I thought maybe getting used to this, it's in the same family. Yep. I might be interested in it. This was so much easier to manipulate the slide as well as some of the other ones. This one was a little bit difficult.
Yeah, you definitely want to make sure, especially in, if you were having to use this firearm in a time of need, you're never going to be under perfect circumstances.
Right.
It is going to be something that your adrenaline is going to be probably going crazy, hands a little sweaty. So if you cannot manipulate the firearm comfortably in a perfect setting, it's usually not going to get any better down the road.
Okay. Maybe I just need to bulk up a little bit.
So you can look at it one or two ways. There are people that'll tell you with proper technique, this is all very easy.
Right.
Or maybe I'll just spend more time at the gym working on my forearms. Now the problem with all of that is this, to Scott's point, what's going to happen when things are way less than ideal? They will be the opposite of ideal when you need it.
And I didn't mind the iron sights on that one too. Actually, the rear sights all black, and it really made me focus on the front sight.
Which is tactically what you want to do.
Right.
So it's a well-designed gun. It's just the controls of it may not be for you.
Okay.
Okay. The next one, we were at a 365 XL. So the XL, instead of the normal 365, is going to have a little longer grip. This is a 12-round magazine instead of a 10, which is in the normal 365.
Okay.
It does have full night sights. Also comes with a flat trigger instead of the curved trigger. And this one is optic ready as well. The XL also has a little longer barrel than the normal 365. So it's on the larger side, but still a design more for that carryability.
Okay. I mean, the grip, it feels very nice in my hand. I do like that. If it was any shorter, I would not.
Okay.
Just because I want it to almost, I don't know. If I can't wrap my pinky around there, I just don't think I would have a proper grip. I would feel uncomfortable.
And like I said, personal preference kind of reigns king on that. What feels good to me or myself and somebody else in the store doesn't really matter. It kind of comes down to what fits in your hands. I will say, fit and feel kind of go a few different ways. Usually when you narrow it down, getting that fit and feel in the store is imperative, and it helps narrow down the process. But the next step of being able to shoot them, the way it feels in your hand while shooting, you can't really mimic with just handling it. So I would say it is important to take those out and fire them if you have the capability. Lucky for us, we do have a shooting range at our location. We're more than happy to either have a used version of that firearm in the store, or one that is on our shooting range as a rental gun, to be able to get in your hands, shoot it, and continue narrowing it down with actually live fire.
That's perfect, because I don't think I would want to purchase blindly, even just by feeling it. I would want to see what the recoil's like, you know, how I do with it.
Right, because at that point it's a surprise.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And once you don't like it, you lose a ton of percentage when you try to trade it back in, just like a car.
Okay.
So being unhappy is expensive. And if you have the chance to test drive the car before you buy it, obviously you should.
Right.
To Scott's point, some guns feel big but shoot small, meaning lots of recoil, hard to control.
Okay.
Performs like a much smaller gun. You'll find, because there's 65 is probably the opposite of that. It kind of feels a little small but shoots big.
Okay.
It's very easy to control the gun, I think. I've owned one before, but that's up to you.
And even if, you know, the case where if you're at a place that maybe doesn't have a shooting range to actually test fire them in, usually people are going to be more than willing to help out. If you ask friends or family members that have a firearm, going out and shooting them prior can also be a good thing to get done before actual purchase.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't mind the feel of this one. It's just this particular firearm does not have any type of safety. I have children at home, so my very first firearm, I know that I'm going to want some sort of safety on it.
It has internal safeties.
Does it?
This one works on inertia. So if it was dropped or like that. But there is no mechanical frame-mounted safety that most people would recognize as something you have to do to get the gun to fire.
I just didn't notice anything like standing out for me.
Yeah, on this one, so this particular one is one without the manual safety on it. SIG does provide that as an option. It is usually difficult to have every version of every single gun available. So
that makes sense.
There are times when we'll have a thumb safety version available. At this very time, this is the one that does not have the manual thumb safety.
Okay.
Most people don't want the safety, so they're harder to get because they don't make as many of them. So it kind of starts to feed on itself, yes?
Yeah, that's very correct. Now, with that being said, the one beside it here is the 365 Rose XL Comp version. So this is a special edition one that they came out with that comes with a lot of different options here. Going to be a lot of the same feel. It does have a compensated slide, and this one does have the safety option on it.
Okay.
So if you wanted to kind of get an idea of what that safety would feel like, it's just an ambidextrous thumb safety. Up means the safety is on, down means the safety is off and ready to fire.
Got it. Thank you.
Controls are going to be the same beyond the safety aspect of it. And with it being, it is going to be more expensive, that version of it, but you do get some things because of that extra price. It does come with a lockbox as well as speed loader and a few other options.
Okay. Yeah, this one's fancy.
Oh yeah.
It's definitely aesthetically pleasing. I'm a rose gold type of gal. So I do like this a lot. But the price point for my very first firearm, I don't know, I would have to save up for something like this.
Completely understandable.
Yeah, and the good news is, as the price increases, in a sense, so does the gamble that you're taking. So back to if you have a chance to shoot the gun before you purchase, it's absolutely what you want to do.
Okay.
Because the news gets worse if you spend more and still are unhappy with it at some point. So.
Right.
So kind of the next ones on the list, you've already looked at the Canik. I wanted to kind of bring these out just to show that there's a lot of different styles and colors and finishes. It's maybe not necessarily the most important thing in the world, but like you said, aesthetics do matter. Life's too short to shoot ugly guns. So I just brought it. We have a few of these out here just to kind of show you. There's a lot of different ways and colors and types and kind. We have the TP-9 SF and the Mate. Very similar, a little bit different set of features on it. This one is optic ready and that one is not.
Okay.
And a little bit different trigger than the Elite that you looked at previously. More on the fuller size of a firearm, which I think we're kind of getting to the point where we're narrowing it down to maybe not something quite as big and heavy.
Right.
Controls work good for you.
Yeah, it's not as difficult as some of the other ones.
Yeah, and as Scott's mentioned, you're noticing the different trigger geometries.
Yes.
Nothing's going to be the same person to person. It has to deal with the length of your finger,
Right.
and the handle, and how it all kind of hooks up. So,
Yeah, just in my hand, just this is wider. It just doesn't fit as well as some of the other ones that are a little bit smaller.
Yeah, well, that's good. I think we're probably narrowing it down fairly considerably here.
Okay.
The last one that you had on the list to look at was the Walther PDP. This is the F series, so a little bit thinner in the feel. This is the compact version, so a little bit smaller than the full size. Might be more in line with the size that you're kind of seeming to trend towards.
I like the sights. The grip feels great. Oh, that's easy to reach the mag release.
Fairly large button.
Okay.
solid trigger.
Yeah, it is. I think I definitely would want to try it out on the range if I could. Yeah, this one, definitely.
Thank you.
Yes, I guess, Kayla, that's what's next, is which one would you be curious about test firing, and then off you go into the land of gun ownership.
Right. Well, I know definitely the Equalizer. That one felt great in my hand. And this one is comparable. So the Walther.
Okay.
I kind of want to stay away from the full size for right now, especially how it felt in my hand. But yes, I agree. I think this SIG P365, I think that would probably be my third one.
Yeah, it'll help you decide whether the line between good and too small is, perhaps.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good insertion to go, you know, big-ish.
Okay.
And then, you know, not. And see how that kind of affects things, because it's going to be a totally different animal.
Right.
Than something of a larger size and weight.
And if I had to pick a fourth one, it would probably just be the Shadow Systems.
Okay.
But other than that, I'm excited.
Good. The only thing I would say is when you take these out to the range and you shoot them to compare them, still keep in mind what that intended use of that firearm is going to be. Because a lot of times some people they get out on the range and that bigger, heavier one starts to shoot a little bit easier for them. You still kind of want to reiterate the reason that you've made that initial kind of cut down to begin with. So size is one of the important factors. So keep in mind that, yes, this is something that I want to carry. I want to carry fairly often, but yet still want to be able to use in a kind of a home defense setting with a little bit higher capacity than some of the micro compact guns.
Okay.
Checking multiple boxes,
Right.
difficult to do.
Yes.
You have to pick the right gun. Not an easy riddle to solve.
I understand that.
Okay?
Okay.
Awesome. Let's go shoot a few.
Yeah. Thank you very, very much for coming in and taking a look at everything. We really appreciate it. And if there's anything else we can do for you down the road, we'll be happy to assist.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Scott.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.